Hi there. It's July the 22nd, and we are continuing our journey through the second book of Chronicles, and we're in finishing off chapter 6 and in 7 and 8 today. And so we saw yesterday that there's this amazing prayer that Solomon prays in front of the people, beseeching God to make the temple his place of meeting with them, his place of encounter, and that when anyone, whether that's Jew or non-Jew, comes to this place and calls on God, that God would hear and God would listen. And at the beginning of chapter 7, there's this amazing outbreak of the presence of God, and God comes and falls in his glory and falls in fire. He consumes the sacrifice that's been made, and there's this amazing connection between God and his people that happens at the beginning of 1 Chronicles 7. And then God responds to Solomon's prayer, and he says, I will hear your prayers. If anyone prays to me, if there is trouble, or if there's pestilence, or if there's hardship in the land, and the people come, and if they will return to me with all their hearts, if they will seek my face, and then I will hear from heaven, I'll forgive their sin, I'll heal their land. That's in chapter 7 verse 14, a very well known verse in this passage. But God says, if however you don't keep to my ways, then I will take you up out of the land. Now it's interesting, when he says he will take them out of the land if they disobey, he says, I will take you out of my land. And it's very interesting that we see here that the land doesn't belong to the people. It's not the people's possession. The land that God has given them is always God's land. It's his, and it's on loan to them. And therefore God sees it as his right to take it back if the people do not live in covenant with him and they don't live closely to him. And there's tremendous rejoicing we see in chapter 7 as well. There's tremendous sacrifice, so much sacrifice in fact that the brass altar in the temple can't contain all the sacrifice, and so Solomon has to dedicate and to sanctify altars, an altar in the outer courts as well, the middle courts, so that all of the sacrifice can be accommodated. And it's interesting as well that this is called in the Hebrew, this dedication, this setting aside the altar is called the Chanukah Mizbeach. And Hanukkah is obviously a modern Jewish festival which celebrates the rededication of the temple in the time of the Maccabees. But here in the time of Solomon, there's a festival of Hanukkah, of dedication of an altar, and this takes place, and this celebration lasts over a whole week because of this joy and this celebration that there is among the people, and this feasting and this enjoyment of who God is. It's very interesting. The people of God know how to celebrate. The people of God know how to worship. And the worshippers are there with their music so that they can praise and so they can say, give thanks to the Lord, he's good. His hesed, his love, his grace endures forever, is without limit. Then at the beginning of chapter 8 we read about various possessions of Solomon that he has taken back, or he's given back some cities in the north that belonged to Huram, that Huram gave back to him, and he develops those as store cities and as defensive places. It also says that those who were not of Israel, the remnants of the Perizzites, the Hivites, the Jebusites, and those peoples who had been part of the original peoples that were not of Israel, they are brought into tribute, and they're made to pay a tax to the Israelite kingdom, while the people of Israel are made the fighting people and the leaders of Solomon's kingdom. This is perhaps the zenith of Solomon's reign. This is the place where God and Israel, God and his people are really united. God himself comes and communes with his people, and Solomon is one who is fulfilled in his calling to be the one who builds the temple and to make a place for God's dwelling. We are constantly called, as God's people who follow Jesus, who follow Yeshua Messiah, we are constantly called to be his temple, to be the ones who are constantly accessible to him and to experience him. And the same call comes to us as came to the people of Israel, that if my people called by my name will humble themselves and pray, seek my face, turn from their wicked ways, I will hear from heaven, I will forgive their sin, I will heal their land. May God be doing that again and again in our day as he did it for Solomon. Have a very good July the 22nd.